was any other criminal wrongdoing by individuals other than Dr. Nassar. While we had already explored that aspect of the investigation, the Rangers, along with the Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office, reevaluated all of the evidence that had been gathered over the last 20 months to determine if there were any other people who could or should be charged. The Texas Rangers conducted further interviews and attempted to gather more documentation. Bella and Marta Caroli were interviewed at length. The Carolis were and remain fully cooperative with this investigation. There is no corroborated evidence of any criminal conduct by Bella or Marta Caroli. Several other individuals associated with USA Gymnastics, including former USAG President Steve Penny and former USAG Vice President Rhonda Fain, were also interviewed. The focus of this part of the investigation was to determine who may have known about Dr. Nassar and who had any obligation to report that activity under the law. At the conclusion of that investigation, the Texas Rangers and the Walker County Sheriff's Office presented their findings to the Walker County District Attorney's Office. Our office reviewed the investigation to determine if any criminal charges could or should be filed. The decision was made that the entire investigation would be presented to a Walker County grand jury for consideration of felony charges against Dr. Larry Nassar. This investigation remains open, and any further information will be investigated and pursued. An investigation of this magnitude often presents difficulty for law enforcement due to the volume of information and the span of time encompassed. The largest hurdle we faced in this case in reviewing the actions of individuals other than Dr. Nassar was the statute of limitations. Because the statutes regarding failure to report child abuse are misdemeanors, the statute of limitations is 2 years. By the time Walker County law enforcement became aware of the allegations in this case, the statute of limitations had already lapsed on any offenses that may have been committed. We are bound by the law, but that in no way means that there was no wrongdoing at the ranch or within the ranks of USAG. It is our belief that there was a total failure by USAG to protect the athletes that were part of their program and to take appropriate action once they were made aware of Dr. Nassar's actions. The Walker County District Attorney's Office, the Walker County Sheriff's Office, and the Texas Rangers will continue to actively investigate any further allegations that are made regarding the activities at the ranch and to pursue justice within the parameters set forth by the law. At this time, we will take questions with the understanding that this is still an open, active investigation in Walker County, and there are open, active investigations in other jurisdictions regarding this case. To protect the integrity of those investigations, we are limited in the specific information that we can release, but we will attempt to answer your questions to the best of our ability with those limitations in mind.
So can you clarify just how many indictments total today? That's not in the...
There are 6 total indictments against Larry Nassar and 1 indictment against Deborah Van Horn.
And then when you're talking about that you're sure there was additional wrongdoing that's outside the scope of the statute of limitations, are you talking about Nassar and this other lady, or are you talking about the Carolis? Would they have been charged? The statute of limitations be different?
We do not believe that there is any corroborated evidence with regard to Bella and Marta Caroli that they did anything wrong. There are other individuals who may have fallen within criminal behavior, but they are outside the statute of limitations. And those would be failure to report cases.
And anything else? It depends on the evidence that we're still investigating.
And what are the time frames of these allegations as far as the victims?
When we knew about the allegations or when the activities began?
Correct.
It spans a great number of years, all the way back to early 2000s. Some even maybe before that.
What was the degree of cooperation you received from Rhonda Fain and Steve Penny?
The degree of cooperation?
I would say Ms. Fain has been, to an extent.
Was Mr. Penny cooperative? Did Mr. Penny cooperate with the investigation?
He didn't provide much assistance.
All of these indictments come under 2 victims, right?
No.
No.
How many?
There are 6 total victims.
Okay.
with Dr. NASSAR, and one of those victims is the same with Deborah Van Horn.
Do you guys believe that there might be, evidence of potentially more people that just haven't come forward that you'd like to come forward?
The cases that were indicted today are the people who have come forward, who have been interviewed, and the cases have been investigated. We feel certain there are probably others that have not come forward, and certainly if they do, those allegations, as these were, will be thoroughly investigated and will pursue charges if necessary.
What are the mechanics of getting Larry Nassar to stand trial? I mean, does he come to Walker County now to face these charges?
That will be determined by the courts. He is in federal custody. There are a number of hoops we have to jump through in order to get him here.
Do you have the desire to do just that?
If we can, yes, sir.
Have you guys had much conversations with these gymnasts recently? Because it's our understanding that just last month there was talk that there should be some sort of charges filed against the Caroli family.
Yes, we've been in contact through the investigators, and all these people that you see behind us have worked on this case, and we've had contact with those folks. Both our office, the Rangers, and the Sheriff's Department have been in contact with different people at different times.
And the victims have been notified of the actions that were taken today.
Are failure to report charges still possible if we come up with evidence that's within the statute of limitations?
If it was within the statute of limitations, yes.
But we don't see any basis of that happening.
Hey, can you explain a little bit further about, you said the Carolis, were they unaware this was all going on? They did not, I mean, when you say they did nothing wrong, the branch bears their name, so.
Because this is still an open, active investigation, we cannot talk about the specifics of the information that we have or what we've uncovered in our investigation, except to say that there are no criminal charges against the Carolis at this time, and we don't believe at this time there's any corroborated evidence to support criminal charges against them.
When you say the statute of limitations, can you put a number of years on that? So
For misdemeanors, it's 2 years. So it would have been 2 years from the date of the failure to report.
Is Deborah Van Horn in custody, or what happens in her case?
No, she's not in custody at this time. Her attorney has been informed.
Is the charge against Deborah Van Horn actually involved as a commission of the events, or are they having knowledge of the events about the
Acting as a party,
acting as a party?
yes.
And could you elaborate a little more on what did you guys discover as far as the systematic failure or total failure, I don't want to paraphrase it the wrong way, by USA Gymnastics? Were they turning a blind eye? Were they didn't listen? Went in here, I mean, how would you characterize it?
Dr. NASSAR worked for them. They received information and did not act on it timely and didn't inform other people like the Carolis that was what was going on. They all thought it was being investigated.
How early was USA Gymnastics made aware of events happening here at Walker?
We believe in 2015.
Yeah. It would have been in June of 2015.
They weren't aware. There were no complaints to USA.
Because it's still an open investigation, we can't answer that, but we believe that in June of 2015, they were aware of the allegations against Dr. NASSAR.
Can you give us an inkling why this remains an open investigation? Are there avenues you still seek to pursue, or people?
There are avenues that we seek to pursue. A lot of it has to do with records involving the U.S. Gymnastics. And as has been said, there are other agencies looking at this, other jurisdictions, and we are in contact with them and sharing information.
To what degree has the current administrators of USA Gymnastics been cooperative with the investigation? Have they provided information, or have they refused to provide any sort of information to the city?
At this time, we believe that Rhonda Fain is cooperating. She no longer works for USAG. And as far as the current administration of USAG, we've had limited contact. They changed their organization, and so we've had limited contact with them. But at this time, there's still information out there that we're looking for. continue to seek that information.
Can you generalize what sort of information you're still trying to look for?
We're still looking for records, we're still looking for documentation, things of that nature
Calendars,
that we have not been provided.
documentation of any sort.
NASSAR was operating without a license in Texas. Is that something to be considered charging?
No.
We did look at that, but as everyone's well aware, there are lots of doctors who travel with teams who operate, and I believe that's been addressed. That's not something that we looked at charging him with.
Given the fact that NASSAR is probably serving the equivalent of a lot of license centers for the cybercrimes, why make the decision to guide that?
Because it's the right thing to do, because these victims deserve to be heard, because they deserve justice. It really comes down to being fairly simple when you look at it that way.
Can you talk to us about how you guys feel having done this investigation, which is, for years of Corolla Ranch sort of tried for Texas and gymnastics and folks in this area in your backyard, and to know all of this was happening, to know what you know now looking back on it, how do you guys feel going through all this?
I think frustrated more than anything. There were so many chances for something to be done that wasn't. I think the Corolla Ranch now has been painted with a brush that will not be allowed to be forgotten. And NASSAR did not work for them. And people that had control over him failed. Simple as that. We acted when we got the information, but it was a long time coming.
I think it's also important to note that the Corolla Ranch and USA Gymnastics are two entirely separate organizations. And while we continue to speak about the Corolla Ranch, it's important to note that the actions of Dr. NASSAR were associated with USA Gymnastics, who was leasing a facility from the Corollas. This is not the Corolla Ranch. This was activity going on by another organization, and I think it's important to separate those two things. There were a lot of things that happened at the Corolla Ranch that involved this community and kids and camps and all kinds of things that have nothing to do with USA Gymnastics and Dr. Larry NASSAR, and I think it's important that we make that distinction. While we call it the Corolla Ranch because that's what it's known by, this investigation centers on USA Gymnastics, Dr. Larry NASSAR, and the activities of the USA Gymnastics team when they were there training, which was a limited period of time during the year. They were there about 9 times a year that they had camps there, and so that's when this would have occurred. It was not an all-day, everyday thing. They were just there when they were training.
Still, to have this go on literally in your community's backyard. Would you describe it as shocking in the last couple of months?
I'd say it's shocking, but it also happened in other jurisdictions. In Michigan, and I'm sure they feel much the same way. And that went on for a much longer period than what we're discussing here.
Based on what you've seen thus far, are there any elements of the penal code that might come into play based on other information that you get that could lead to additional charges to be against these two or against perhaps other people as well?
Well, certainly as we go forward and other information, if we get other information and we gain access to records and things like that, there may be other charges in the penal code. We can't really speak specifically to what they would be at this time because we don't know what information is going to come forward. And obviously if other victims come forward, either of the sexual assaults or other types of crimes, this team behind us will investigate those thoroughly. And if there are other cases to be charged, we will certainly look at that.
Have you yet made the request to USA Gymnastics for the information that you're looking for, or will those requests be made?
We've requested some information. We will be requesting further information. And as more information comes to light in other jurisdictions and other investigations, we are trying to work cooperatively with those jurisdictions so that we're all getting access to the same information, and certainly trying to share resources. As you can imagine, this is a very large investigation that involves a whole lot of people, and we're trying our best to coordinate with all those jurisdictions to make sure everybody has access to the same things.
Do you feel like everybody who has something to offer in your investigation has already spoken to you, or you have identified them, or are you still trying to get more people in this arena to come forward?
I think we can't answer that question because we don't know who else is out there, but we have, these guys behind me have talked to a lot of people. All of the names that we were given have been talked to. We've tried to interview everybody that has been part of this investigation thus far. And, you know, we'll continue to interview people. If more names are given to us, we'll certainly continue to interview those people, and continue to try to work on this investigation to see what, if any, other charges may be filed.
Would you encourage former journalists or others to contact your office?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. We would
have been
encourage
doing
them.
that continuously.
We would encourage them to contact the Texas Rangers, or to contact our office, or to contact the Sheriff's Department. The Rangers took over the investigation as far as the Caroli Ranch, and we did receive some information that way, but if somebody has something to tell us, we would encourage them to pick up the phone and call.
To clarify, can you tell us the first time the Carolis were made aware of Dr. Nassar's sexual assault on the ranch?
We won't comment on that because that's a specific part of the investigation, and at this time the investigation is still open.
Well, as we said, there's limited amounts of information we can give you. I hope the handouts will help you. Our statement, we try to be pretty thorough in that, but
all right, everyone, having a little bit of issue with the choppiness there with the audio. We have about a minute left of this video, so I want to provide you an update really quickly. Investigators there in Texas addressing allegations of criminal behavior by disgraced former sports doctor Larry Nassar at the famed gymnastics training center run by Bella and Martha Caroli. 5 former U.S. gymnasts implored authorities last month to determine whether the Carolis could have prevented the abuse at the center about an hour north of Houston. 2 gymnasts said Nassar abused them there. The governor later ordered an investigation into what he called gut-wrenching allegations. So that's what's happening there. The facility has since closed, and as you know, Nassar has been imprisoned for life. The Texas Rangers are leading the investigation. The agency joined Walker County prosecutors and sheriff's officials at this news conference to discuss developments. So